Welcome to Inside the Arena podcast. I'm your host, Randy Jackson. Today we have a special episode. Brand new head coach, Richard Case, called me and said, "Hey, coach, I've got my first head job and want to talk about some materials." And we just started talking. And I said, "Hey, man, if you want to do a Zoom or something, we can talk about maybe your first 30 days, what your plans are." And he said that sounded great. And then I asked him if we could make it into a podcast, expecting him to say no, but he said, sure. And this will be a very fascinating podcast to me. If you're a head coach, you're going to learn something. If you want to be a head coach, you're going to learn some cool stuff because it's not just me. I'm going to have a panel of experts on here. So Eric Luster, head coach at Brazos Wood High School in south of Houston, is on here. Ben Startzer, head coach at Northfield High School, which is Denver, is on here. Rick Jones, who is a special assistant at Missouri, should be on here. 9 state titles in Arkansas. But our guest to honor is Richard Case. Richard, thanks, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your career and what you got going.
Thanks for having me. I started coaching in 2003. Been a varsity assistant, JV assistant football coach for a while. And then over the last 2 years, I thought I'd like to become a head coach. So I started pursuing that. I'm coaching here in Appleton area school district currently. And now I just got hired as the head coach at a small rural high school here in Wisconsin, Adams, Wisconsin.
Will you have to move?
Actually, we have people taking pictures of the house right now, and the realtor's here putting the house on.
How's the market in Wisconsin?
It's pretty competitive. I like the numbers he gave me, and we have a place to rent in the
Nice.
meantime. So, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Richard, tell us, let's start with this. Give us your best story. He gave me questions, but give us one thing that in your interview that happened that listeners can use whenever they interviewed. Anything that you feel like you did a good job with? Anything surprising that you weren't ready for?
I taught at that school district about 4 or 5 years ago, so I was familiar with administration already. And also, I knew some of those students that graduated. It's a small rural town, so people just know people and remember me from the past. So they're like, oh, he's going to be the new head coach. He was like my favorite teacher. Dropped back to my relationships that I had built with those students and things about relationships. That's what I focused on.
Yeah. So give us a lay of the land, Adams friendship. So tell us a little bit about Adams tradition and size school. What kind of offense have they been running? What are you going to do? That type of stuff.
It's Division 5 now, but it was previously Division 4. There's 417 students in that high school. So it's a mid-sized school here in Wisconsin. I know the assistant principal was a head football coach there for 15 years, and it's kind of his baby. I had a good connection with him when I was there previously. It was kind of a grinded out offense, typical Wisconsin football. It ran spread, but when you watch him on film, it kind of looks like QB counter or whatever. They ran the quarterback a lot and traditional 3-4 defense. But in my philosophy, with the fast and wide thing that you have going on, it kind of matches my defense, which is a 3-3 stack defense. I think speed is the tide that raises all boats. I've been hearing from players, former players, they're excited about jumping on board here. So yeah, I kind of painted the picture as basketball on football
That's
field.
awesome.
Essentially.
So when you say 3-3, are you talking 3 safeties?
Well, no, it's a 5-man secondary. So
Okay, awesome. Yeah, the 3 safety, I don't understand why everyone doesn't do 3 safety. I think it's incredible. If you want to know more about 3 safety stuff, let me know because it is fascinating to me. Here's how I say 3 safety. If you could have any superpower, I would pick to be invisible. To me, that middle safety that's 8 yards deep, where the O-line isn't assigned to block him, is invisible. He's not accounted for, and he's going to make tackles. So, yeah, I love that you're doing 3 high. Okay, we're going to get into this. We got some guys on here to help. All of you guys, please jump in. Let's make this like a coach's office. You guys answer first. Whoever wants to take it. We're going to start with questions Richard sent me. Richard, when do you start?
Generally, what we've done in the past is after the last day of school, we give the kids 1 week after that, and then we start. But this school district, their last day of school is actually a week before ours. So probably June 15th is what I'm
Okay.
going to say.
So here's what we're going to start. You ask about the fall sports meeting. Is that like a parent meeting in August?
Yep. So the fall sports parent meeting is all the students is going to participate in a sports during fall. They're going to meet, and then we're going to have breakout sessions. So if you're a football player or parent, then you go to a
Okay.
meeting. If you're like a soccer
Yeah. Okay.
parent, yeah.
Guys, I've got a PowerPoint that's not very long, so don't feel like, because this is a tough one just to answer off the top of your head. But any of you guys, panelists, what's the best thing you do at your fall sports meeting? Anything you can give me, any nuggets?
Coach, what I've learned is communicate, communicate, communicate. I want the parents to know where to find information. We put our sports U up there. This is where you can find the schedule, cancellations, the date we're going to practice, times and dates will all be there. You can also reach out to me through that. If you share your phone number, they're going to wear you out. I'm a fall sport, so that's where I'm going to post the fundraisers. That's where I'm going to post my how to get on my social medias. All of that we'll be doing at that fall meeting. It's really about communication. I want to answer as many questions in that meeting before the season starts, so that way I ain't got to do it again. But another thing, Coach, is I also want to let them know I'm open to talk about anything, even playing time, but not after a game.
Yeah.
They need to know when to communicate. That fall thing is all about how to communicate and when to communicate and what I will communicate.
What do you do, Eric, with a parent who doesn't show? We know that's going to happen.
We got a contract. And our contract is if your parent doesn't show, they got to come to my office and sign this contract or your kid doesn't get equipment. That way, Coach, it won't be, oh, hey, I didn't know. It was in the contract. You signed it. If you didn't see it, you should have read it. My fault, man. This is what we're doing. So it's all about communication. That way, I ain't got to have unnecessary parent meetings.
Anybody else? Yes,
We're
sir.
at our parent meeting. The kids had the same attendance policy. Their parents had the same attendance policy as their kids. So if their parents were going to miss the meeting, they had to call. And if that was the case, then they'd only have to do makeup work. If they didn't call in and tell us their parents were going to come to the meeting, they were unexcused. They get 3 days of makeup work.
Kid got 3 days of makeup work if their parent was unexcused.
I would tell the kids either their parents are running or they're running. We push sleds, but
yeah,
you can push sled or your parent can push sled. I don't care. Somebody's going to push sleds if you miss the meeting. And I would excuse them honestly if they would sign the team policy. If it's like they have 2 kids in the program, by the time the second kid's through there, they've been through enough punishment to do that. But I think the other thing that I did that was beneficial that I didn't know would be so beneficial is I'd go 7th grade. This is our philosophy of playing time. This is our philosophy of winning or losing games. 8th grade, 9th grade, JV. And I made everybody understand exactly what we were trying to get out of each level of football. So they weren't going to call me up after a JV game and say, why weren't you trying to win the game? If we had 7 JV games, then we might try to really win 3. I said JV is practice so that everybody knew. They weren't going to call me up and tell me that their son had rushed for 127 yards in a JV game. And I think it was helpful for the parents to know what our philosophy was concerning JV, varsity, 7th grade, and on.
Rick, I didn't even think about that. One time I was a head coach at a small town in Central Texas. I was the athletic director as well. And our 8th grade girls basketball team went 11-0. And 5 girls played basketball that year. And that's the worst thing in the world. Talking about that at a parent meeting is great. Richard, you'll get a copy of this, but yeah, talk about your philosophy of here's what we're trying to get here. I believe this, even in 9th grade, if you have 2 quarterbacks, they ought to both play. Man, we can't have too many quarterbacks. And your parents have to understand. One of my last JV quarterbacks I ever had was worried about his stats for max preps. And he was 5'9". but he was going to get NIL money. Not really back then, but so yeah, I think that's good. How long do you guys, Ben, let's just say how long is your fall sports meeting going to be?
I do it different. I do it online. I do a similar thing with attendance. We're kind of spread out in the city and there's things that come with that, but I record it. And so when I record it online, I get a receipt of who was there. But then on top of that, I put it into my welcome letter and it's always right there. If you need to review our Coach Jones's thing is right on point. We do a ton of philosophy stuff. Coach Lester's right on point with communication, but I put it as a link that they can always watch the video replay. Today I had a mom say, "Hey, I missed the meeting." I'm like, here's our welcome letter. And in that welcome letter is a link to say, hey, if you missed it, here's the replay. So you can get that all the way through. It takes us about an hour though, to get through that. And I bring a bunch of energy and really just try to get what I'm trying to get out of the kids and just say, this matters to me. And so boom, boom, boom. And that way I can eliminate, oh, we missed it. And the replays there, you can see exactly what we're.
I love it. It's hard to do it less than 60 minutes, but just so y'all know, Ben and I are partners on a website. Coach Randy Jackson is going to become arenacoaching.com, but Ben's building the website and all. So you can see why I chose Ben to help me with stuff. Like, who would ever think of having a coaches meeting, a parent meeting embedded into a welcome letter? I'm just not that smart. I'm going to show you mine real quickly, Richard, and show other people as well. I know you guys don't want this to be forever, so this will be quick. Some of this is stolen from a friend of mine named Rick Jones. I never use slideshow. I never use PowerPoint anymore. What I would try to do, Richard, is try to go between not over 60. Like, I put 50 on this, and here's how I would do it to keep it from getting, because like Ben said, you want to be high energy. In June 15th, when you start with those kids, they need to go home that night and say, we hired the right guy. So the first meeting you will have with those kids, it's got to be awesome. You got to bring the juice and you got to share the vision, and they got to go home and say, Coach Case is awesome. Whenever you have this parent meeting, they got to go home and go, well, that's the best parent meeting I've ever been to. That's got to be your goal. It's got to be a deal. This is a rural school, so you might not want to do that, but dress nicer than they think you're going to dress. I think that matters. I'm going to tell them who I am and why I'm here. Now, this PowerPoint is from when I was an interim coach at Greenville, Texas, and I took the job 4 days before fall camp started. Didn't know kids' names the first practice, so I was going to tell them what I'm about. Here's how we're going to win. So here's how I would do this meeting, Richard. I'm going to talk about 20 minutes with this PowerPoint. And then I'm going to have my trainer talk 5 minutes. I want them to know who the trainer is. If Jimmy gets hurt and he doesn't tell our trainer, then we can't know he got hurt. So your trainer needs to spend 5 minutes and say, here's how insurance works. And if Jimmy gets hurt in practice, he's got to tell me before he leaves, because if you go to care now at 9 p.m., he won't play for 3 weeks. So you're going to do a PowerPoint for about 20 minutes, and then you're going to have the trainer talk 5. I would have a coordinator talk about recruiting and I'm just making it 5 because this can't last too long. Here's Coach Jones. He's our recruiting coordinator. He used to work at Missouri, and he's the guy who's going to be our contact person. And then we would talk nutrition. And I would have a coach come up and tell these coaches, if other coaches speak, they have 4 minutes, because then they're going to go 5. If you tell them they have 5, they're going to go 6.5. I would want to talk about what game day looks like. Here's how game day morning, here's what I need them to eat. Here's what we're going to wear to school. We're going to ride the bus home. Even in Greenville, Texas, I remember our first road trip, I had kids wanting to know if they could ride home with their parents. I was shocked. I forgot to cover it in the parent meeting because I didn't know that ever happened anymore. Here's my PowerPoint. I'm going to talk about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to have a few guest speakers, and they're going to go fast. I think this would be important. I'd been in Greenville about 10 days, right? 4 days before fall camp. And here's what we're going to fix. If we're going to win any games here, we got to fix the cursing, attendance, earrings, grades. We're going to fix this. And I need your help. And then this is a Rick Jones picture. What's wrong with this? We're going to fix this. This is how we're going to start every practice. And this is where they'll get announcements. This would be in the second half. So I would speak. And then after this picture, I would turn it over to my guest speakers. And then when I came back, this is the best thing I've ever learned from Rick Jones. And so I'm so glad you're on here, Rick, because I want to honor you with this. This is Rick's attendance system. And if you can tell your parents, here's what excused and unexcused absence is, they will love it because it's information, right? So, Rick, tell them, would you do the honors of this? Because I feel stupid explaining it.
This is one of the things that you learn after the years, but we give them a team policy, and this is right at the top in our priorities: God, church, family, academics, football, everything else. And we basically say every time you miss a workout, you're going to make it up. Right? And if it was excused, they make up the work. If it's unexcused, they get 3 days of exactly what the guys had done that had it excused. An excuse is that show me on the list of priorities why it's more important for you to do that than practice football. It's very simple. If a kid came in and said, I got church service at 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening, we never had a problem. If he said, I'm going to Six Flags with my church group, we had a problem. I did not try to fight it as long as they were communicating before the practice started. After a while, we didn't have a whole lot of trouble. The makeup work was the red sleds. We pushed those red sleds, and it's hard, but not horrible. But doing 3 days in a row is close to horrible. Parents could never call for their kid. They could never call for their kid. I want the kid to call. I want him to pick up the phone and call me. He doesn't call an assistant. He doesn't call a trainer. He calls me. And I make the final decision whether it's excused or unexcused. 99% of them are excused. That's really the main thing. I want them to be responsible. I don't want their mommy or their daddy to call me if they have to miss practice. I think that's one of the important things about it. They have to do it themselves. They take responsibility themselves like grown-ups.
Richard, I always did this because I want this to be clear as it can be. So I'd give them a quiz. I hadn't done this in a few years, but John needs to miss practice because of UIL academic event. And I would ask the parents, is this excused or unexcused? And they'd say excused. He has to get his driver's license. That's not on this list here. John has to take his mom to a doctor's appointment. I just think you lay it out that clear for them. Triangle success. I'm going to give them a typical day. Here's what you can expect. Here's a practice. We're going to wear ties. Here's what our pregame meal. This is what a nutritionist says a pregame meal should be. Here's our calendar. Here's how we communicate. So I sent this to you, and then here's how I would end it. I would have summer awards by the kids who showed up. Perfect attendance. So I'd want my players at the meeting too, because it's good for them to hear it. And then I would have award winners from the summer. I would celebrate those guys. And we got to get that done in under 60 minutes because any question, Richard, on parent meeting?
Yeah, I was looking at the slides I had created, and I have 27 pages, but not with all the images. I like the images. Just have those talking points so they're not reading a whole bunch of stuff. That's and they're listening to what I am.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm glad I showed it to you because if you have a bunch of words on there, now they're just reading it and they're not really listening to you and just kind of. But I think almost had too many slides. I almost had too many because you got to spend some time on what matters to you, what makes you tick and all that stuff.
Yeah, my initial thought was I was just going to present those slides and I was going to post that on Sports U as part of the media part. And those have links in them too. I don't know if you can open those links up in Sports U, but I was going to make that available to them somewhere, but I wanted to go over it with them.
Yeah.
I want to put all that out there right away, but I didn't want to take up too much time. Sometimes the shorter it is, the better it is.
Yeah.
Looking forward to something instead of hearing it all out in one time.
The thing I didn't have in that PowerPoint that I would always add now is what is our philosophy of subvarsity? Subvarsity is AAA, AA. It's the farm system. We're not trying to go 11-0 in eighth grade girls basketball. That'd be a great thing. Have as many slides as you want that they can go look at, but limit your slides. Add a little media stuff on there, the pictures. All right. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
One thing, we had the team policy, and it was one page. In the back of it was the drug and alcohol policy, and I had the kids sign it and the parents sign it. And I can't tell you how many times I would have an issue, kid come in, he's in trouble, and the dad raising Cain or the mom raising Cain. And I would just say, everyone knows the policy. So I didn't know the policy, and I just show them that they had signed it. And it just makes sense, because when I've caught kids breaking the rules, there is no confusion. They know. If it's their first offense, they know they got 30 days of red sleds. That's just the way it is. Their mama knows, their dad knows, everybody knows. And that's why I have them sign it, because I've had dad sit in my office screaming and yelling because his son was suspended for violating the drug and alcohol policy. And he said, I never signed that. That's a bunch of bull. And then I just showed it to him, and he looked over at his wife, and she had signed it.
Yeah.
So I think that helps, makes it easier if you're not trying to decide whether or not he knew or didn't know, even though it doesn't matter.
I love telling this story, and I'll try to make it fast. One of my good friends in a very affluent high school in the DFW area had a kid miss practice during homecoming week. You don't get to dress out if you miss practice unexcused. His dad came up there and said, but it's homecoming week. Can you not just suspending next week? And he said, no, this is our policy. I don't know if he had the parents sign anything or not, but I think that's a great idea, Richard, is he sure should have. But one of the funniest coaching stories I ever tell is that parent said, so you're telling me my son isn't going to get to dress out his senior year homecoming? And the head coach said, that's what I'm telling you. He's unexcused. That's our rule. He said, Coach, I made $17 million last year, and I'm going to spend every dime of it to get you fired. And the coach looked at him. He said, you write me a check for $1 million right now, I'll quit today. Have them sign that kind of stuff, right? Whatever's important to you, Richard, have them sign it. Okay, the next question, question B, Richard, I texted about 20 good friends today and said, help me answer this one. So this is getting buy-in from players and families in the summer. And last summer, we didn't have great attendance from football, and we got to get great attendance this year. Is there anything you want to add to that, Richard, just for the committee?
Yeah, they compete a lot with baseball. We have summer baseball, and then we have AAU basketball too. So those are our competing activities for the summer. And then our coaches, they're not teachers, most of them. So they work most of the day. So I'm trying to figure out the time when to get staff together so we do our install, because we're doing everything brand new from scratch.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. Is early in the morning a possibility? If they're playing at night, those games and stuff, or?
Early in the morning, our coaches start work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Most of them do. But one of the good things is we have 3 times during the day in which the weight room is open and it's supervised. So we have 3 time slots to do it. I'm going to be available all summer, but no, that's information I'm gathering right now.
You. All right, guys, I got thoughts. Who wants to start this one off?
I'll jump on it. So for us, Coach, man, it wasn't 8 kids or 10 kids when I first got here, but the summer was almost like an optional type deal because they all had to work. They all had something going on. So what we did was we would feed them. My standard is a standard. If I say we're going to be here 4 days, we're going to be here 4 days. And the number of kids wasn't really the focal point of it. It was like whoever shows up is who I'm going to coach. And that's kind of my philosophy, even in the season. Whoever shows up during the season, that's who I'm going to coach. I'm not worried about this best athlete that's missing practice. Do I want him here? Yes. But, man, that kid can go out there and tear his leg up. So I'm going to just coach it. And I believe that, man, the way that we do it, we're going to make it fun. We're going to make it exciting. We're going to cheer for them. We're going to have a camper of the day, put that all on social media. We're going to feed those kids on Thursdays. We're going to reward the ones who show up, not chase the ones who really, I'm not going to say not chase the ones who don't, because to me, that's the coaches. Even if the coach is not there, I can still say, hey, man, I don't know, where was Ben Smith at today? Call and find out where he was at. Because to me, they got to be the head coach of their position. Even though they're not there, there's still some added value to them. They still got to coach that kid. They still need to know if that kid is there or not. Another thing that we did, coach, was rewarded those kids for 100%ers. Then what I did was build up on that to now it's just a deal to what we do. That's our standard. They show up in the summer now. I have a lot more kids here that I'm looking for these days.
Most coaches say culture matters, but they don't have a system or a way to track it. And I get it. It's time consuming and labor intensive. This is why OVR was created. What you celebrate, you replicate. And every time you plus your athletes for bringing someone to work out, being enthusiastic, increasing a PR, every time their score goes up, they're going to want to repeat it the next day. Yeah, it's great. You got to get them there however you got to get them. You got to feed them. Rick's brother, David Jones, mentioned this today, and I think this is great before I let Rick and Ben talk. But, man, Richard, if I were you, the month of June could be baseball, basketball, go vacation, but I'm going to have parent meetings. I'm going to have home visits the month of June. And because what you got to do is you got to get into parents' homes and say, hey, in July, we're going to have a strength and conditioning camp. And this is Rick's fixing to crush this. We're going to go 14 days or 16 days, however many days you want to be. And I need your kids there. But it's not football. We're not. July is to make y'all's mascot, Richard.
We're the Green Devils.
Okay. We're going to make some muscular, faster Green Devils in July. That's good for any sport, grades 3 through 12. So you need help and all, but it's not 3 times a day. It's not just where they come in and lift. It's got to be an event. You know, it's got to be a certain time. We're all here, and it's got to be a happening. Ben, do you have anything before I turn it over to Rick?
When I got to my current school, I've been here 7 years. When we got in, we had 23 kids on roster. Now we have 160 try out every year. But what I did really early is we focused a little less on the grindy part of playing football. Now, it hurt us a little bit later, but to get the numbers up, we played a lot of games. Like we play this thing like trash can ball, which is this modified version of ultimate frisbee with a football. I play it almost religiously now, especially with my incoming 8th graders, because in about 25 minutes, I'm going to find out who my alpha males are. I can find out who's athletic, who has a body looks like they can't play but can play, those that have a body that looks like they can play but they can't play. We just let them play, and I divide the teams up into 4 groups. I play 2 games going at the same time, and I make them rotate. So I build internal competition. We played a lot of games, and we did a lot of stuff like that, kind of fun stuff. In the weight room, I'd make them do stuff that didn't require a lot of strength, like bar hang. How long can you hang on a bar and get kids to compete? And they kind of get some juice flowing. And so that helped us, because kids, even to this day, when they hear we're playing trash can ball, they cannot wait. It's kind of primal. And I tell them there is no pass interference, so they can be rough, and they love it. You got to make it purposeful. Everything that Lusser said about making it fun. We do a lot of competitive stuff based on the Navy SEALs thing. It pays to be a winner. I'll purposely go out and get 15 protein bars. And whoever wins the trash can ball for the day is going to get those 15 bars. No one else is getting anything. Yesterday, I was handing out Smarties, those stupid little powder candies, and we're going over some of our philosophy, and the kids were very competitive just to get that stupid little Smartie. So keep building competition, make it a ton of fun, and as small as you think the prize is, the kids will they'll go.
My biggest thing, Richard said, was I'm going to have this thing open 3 different times. I'm going to be here, and they can just show up, right, and lift. And Richard, you're spending a lot of time. That's going to be a lot of work on you. But I think That's where I would want to address this, Rick. So how does that make you feel? How would you do it?
Everybody has to find what works for them. And it depends on where you are in the country. I'm going to repeat what Richard and Ben both said, is that we think too much. We sell punishment for summer workouts. It's not punishment. It is an awesome thing we get to do in the summer. It's not punishment. We have that mentality that we are punishing you by making you work out in the summer. And if the attitude is we're here to train you, we're here to get better, we're here to have fun. We've got 3rd through 12th. We got boys and girls. I've had moms and dads. I had a sports writer go through it one year just so he could write about it. But my thought is to set up a program to train every athlete in schools. So the baseball guys, the basketball guys, we've had cheerleaders, volleyball teams, soccer teams. We've had teams bus every day 25 miles to come do the program because it's a training program. I sort of got tickled because I used to call it strength conditioning, but I think that's poor marketing. Conditioning sounds hard. So we just call it training program. Conditioning sounds hard.
But you're going to market it like a summer camp.
It is summer camp. It lollipops and rainbows and unicorns, and it's all good, but it's hard. And we're going to sell it. We're going to sell the fun aspect, but also the hard aspect. We're going to talk about the 56 sprints that we're going to run the last day of camp, between 5 and 50 yards, between 5 and 20-second intervals. And we are going to build that up and say, are you going to be here for the 56? Are you going to be here for the 56? And if they come to every day, we're going to give them 100% Bulldog t-shirt. Not really original ideas, because both of you guys have already mentioned the rewards, but I think the mentality is this is not punishment. This is an awesome thing we get to do. And we had soccer teams come over. We had the volleyball team. We had cheerleaders. We had different groups, and we're training athletes, even though the point, obviously, is to train our football team to be ready to go. Richard, I've got to go, but I appreciate the opportunity. And if anybody has any questions, rick.jones@missouri.edu, I will be happy to answer, send you a brochure or whatever you need me to do. Thanks, Randy.
Rick, it was awesome, buddy. Thanks for making time. Okay, so Richard, think about this. This is Rick Jones's Fast Dogs program. The month of July, if you just did it 3 days a week, I think it's important for you to go less days than we don't have good attendance. So think about, here's what I'm thinking. The month of July, we're going to go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday at 6 p.m. If baseball's Thursday, then I'm going Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to figure it out. What if the cheerleaders had 6 girls there? And the cheerleader coach, she needs to kind of come, right, help. We're going to ask all sports to come and people to help. If your staff's big enough, Rick said they would start in 3rd grade. I would start in 6th grade or something. The lowest you can start. Rick said anybody that was middle school, they would go 60 minutes, and your high schoolers would go 90 minutes. Invite everybody and get coaches to come. If they're there 90 minutes, we're going to work hard. 50, take a break and compete. If you had access to the gym and you had boys and girls doing a free throw contest, you could come up with anything. They're going to go home. If you go from 6 to 7, they're going to go to Whataburger at 7:30, and they're going to talk about it. And they're going to go home and talk about it. And so that would be my philosophy is we're going to, in June, I'm going to go to parents' homes, tell them why this is important. You need to advertise it like it's a camp.
I'm going to add this because we go 6th grade all the way up to 12. Our middle school coaches come up and they work with the middle school kids, but they also work with our varsity kids as well. My first year here, my football coaches, we coached everybody. We coached boys and girls, and we looked like we had a lot of numbers because it was boys and girls. And we had every rack full because it was boys and girls. The girls wanted to compete against the boys. The boys competed harder because they wanted the attention of the girls. And it was a great time. I enjoyed it. Every kid knew who I was, 6th grade to 12th grade. I'm the new guy. I'm building a gap between my youth league, my middle school, and my high school kids are all getting coached by Coach Luster. And I get to high five everybody. Now my middle school coaches know my expectations. My youth coaches know my expectations. It was a higher energy deal where we named a youth camp of the week. We named a middle school camper of the week, and we named a high school boy and girl camper of the week. The girls can win just as much as the boys. And I made the girls be leaders. I said, hey, man, if this drill isn't right, say something. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. So now they're going home and telling mom and dad that, hey, I like this coach because I get to have a voice and
Yes.
not just my program. So we hired a new girls coordinator, and she wanted to divide the girls up. And now the girls doing their own thing. And it wasn't, I would look over there and see the intensity of the girls' workout, and it wasn't as
Right.
intense as it was with my high school guys. But we're going to fix that this year.
I love that idea, Coach. Sixth graders want to know who the head coach is. They want to play for this guy one day, and because they're putting him on a pedestal. So, Richard, I would consider this. I know you need some help, but in Wisconsin, the middle school coaches are not school employees, right? It's more in the youth program.
Yeah, for the most part.
If you did it at 6 p.m., maybe those coaches could help some. You spread coaches out and tell them, hey, make sure it's safe and bring the juice. Get girls and boys. I'd have some outside work and weight room. And the little kids are outside. And just split it up, little kids and maybe some girls, whatever, and then weight room, and we're going to flip it. I sure wouldn't have boys in one and girls in the other. I'd mix them up, not saying boys are spotting girls or anything like that, but I think it'd be okay if you had 3 girls squatting in this rack and 3 boys squatting in this rack. We're all just Green Devils. And man, we're going to tear these walls down. I love the idea. I would have never thought about cheerleaders, but Rick's the one that said that. I think it's outstanding. We're trying to change the mentality. A lot of schools around the country deal with this. In the summer, we're going to go do this and this. We've got to pay for travel ball, and let them do it in June and see if you can have 12 workouts better than they've ever had before. That's my 2 cents on that. Now we're going to go to youth and middle school coaches. Getting the youth coaches on board. All right, so I've got a question for you, Richard. How many coaches are on your staff?
So we have 5 coaches in total on the high school staff. That includes varsity and JV.
Okay. Here's how I would answer that question from now on. How many youth coaches do you think you have?
At this point, but
You know.
usually they're dads, right?
Yeah. If somebody in town says, how many coaches are on your staff? Let's pretend there's 12 youth coaches. How many coaches are normally held with middle school?
There's usually about 2 or 3 for each grade level,
Okay.
7th and 8th.
Let's say 6. So we got 12 youth, 6 middle school, and we got 5. And 6. That's 23, right, Ben? If somebody at Piggly Wiggly says, how many coaches do you have? I'm saying 23. And that's where I'm just going to make those guys feel like they're on the staff. As much as you can do that. You should have a sports U for parents and a sports U for those coaches too. I would have a sports U for my coaches, the 5, and then I would have a sports U for all my football coaches. Hats and shirts. That's everybody's love language. We'd always do a clinic for those guys and ask them to use our terminology. But I think the main thing is make them feel special. They are part of your staff. In the summer, have a weekly 7-on-7. So let's say you're going to do Green Dragon Camp Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. On Wednesday, we're going to do summer 7-on-7 for the little guys. Your kids, your players are going to be the coaches of the teams.
Yes, sir.
So it's fascinating.
And coach, I don't know if you want to charge or not, but we do.
Yes, we got to charge so we can get money, reward the attendance people. And the cheerleader who comes every day, right? She's got to get a reward.
So we charge our kids. So we go out and we get sponsors for each team. And the head coach of the team, I don't go out and do anything. I just have the facility. So my players go out and they get their own sponsors for the team. That sponsor gets his name on a T-shirt, but every kid pays to be a part of this league as well. So we get sponsor money and player fee money.
What do y'all charge kids?
$45 a kid.
Okay.
What we charge.
How long is your schedule? Give us that rundown.
It's about 6 weeks.
Once a week?
Yeah, once a week. We practice an hour. We practice 30 minutes before the game, and we probably play another 40 minutes. So it's about an hour, 10, hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half total.
Smart y'all practice before the game. That's really good.
Oh, because it's my high school kids. We practice any more than that, they might not show up.
Yeah.
So they're going to show up for that game. We have offense. Every kid got a number between 1 and 20. Odd numbers this week if you're on defense. That way everybody gets to learn. Even numbers if you're on offense. Next week we flip it. If the kid's missing, then we get the sub in. There's different rules to it. But my kids, they ref it. They're OCDC, and they get to do all of that. And then afterwards, coach, we have a trophy. We have a championship game based on record. We make it fun, and our kids love it. We found future coaches out of doing this. We also found players who wouldn't have played football without going through this and playing flag. Mom and dad wasn't too sure about football. Now they're all fired up about it. Boys and girls are out there. What we've done is made football important here. To now, they'll rather play football than go play baseball. They'll rather play football than go play basketball. They'd rather be with their guys that they've played with. Also, we do a youth night where those same kids run out of the tunnel with my high school guys. We do a deal, coach, to where if you were a sponsor for that league, you get to come to a game and you're on the sideline with it. So there's a lot of perks to it. It's a bill within the community as well. Other things that we do, coach, to kind of get our coaches involved is that I go to those early practices and I ask those youth coaches who have coached a lot of my players to come be a mentor on Friday night. That's how I build my mentor program, because they know these kids, they have a relationship with them. They want to see how the coach, hey, how is Ben Smith doing? Well, hey, if you really want to know, come be a mentor for Ben Smith. So now my guys are coaching their kids and they're coming back and being with my guys again because they're watching these guys coach. And it's almost like we talk about the word Modita. It's a built-in sense of pride for everybody that's involved. Those kids have pride in the little kids. Those parents have pride in their kids, but also the coaches who are coaching them. They're going to bring their kids to the games now to see coach. Hey, let's go watch Coach Smith play now. It's an ideal to where we built this thing into a football program to where I have kids that wouldn't come out of the basketball gym. They're playing football for me now.
Yeah, because you've made it a thing. Richard, I think you could really, and you could probably still do it on the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday night. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if the workout was from 5:30 to 7, I don't know. They probably wouldn't want to do it after workout, I guess, would they, Eric? Just
No,
get a different night.
we play at two different times. So we do it on Saturday morning after film and weights on Saturdays.
Talking about during the fall.
Yeah. Coach, we do it in the fall and we turn around and do it again in the spring because they really want to be a part of it. And so it was one time a year. Now we do it twice a year just because they love doing it, coach, kind of blowing up.
If you were Richard going into a new place,
I'll do it now.
Yeah. I know, Richard, you got so much to do, man, but I think you do it right now.
Coach, all he has to do is tell the kids. The kids do all the work. All I do is go out there and high five kids. I don't do anything.
I still need to get the field lined. I had to put that order in. We don't have turf or anything like that.
Eric said this that gave me this idea. Every youth coach, try to figure out a way to communicate with them and ask them about these players. Did you coach the high school kids?
Yep.
What do I need to know about him? Maybe come up with a sheet that you could send them, a Google form. What motivates him? What discourages him? You can get chat to help you answer these questions, but people like to have their opinion asked. And you want to value those youth coaches by saying, man, whatever you think about Tommy, I want to know.
We got a form the kids fill out themselves, and I take those forms and let those youth coaches read it. And they're like, yeah, coach, man, I could have told you this.
Yeah.
Coach, hey, man, that's odd. That's odd that he says this because he's the most confident kid that I know. It's odd that he says he's having trouble.
Yeah.
Coach, you know this. The more buy-in, the more you let them in, the more buy-in you have from the community, the more they be behind you.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, hey, I know that they got beat by 20 points, but man, if y'all knew how hard they're working up there to change this thing, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be saying what you're saying about coach right now.
If you have the kind of booster club, Richard, that would do this, grill hamburgers and invite all the youth coaches. And then ask, what do y'all know about our roster? Put it on here. Here's our, maybe they can't say something right in front of a big group, but they could write it down. There's all kind of ways we could figure this out. You're going to buy y'all. OVR is an app that you can score kids that are going to plus them. You're going to be able to plus kids for showing up to summer workout. If kids have a Madden rating, you're going to have kids come to summer workout. They're going to want their OVR score. And I was thinking about them coaching a Little League. Coach, I know you're swamped. 3 nights of Little League 7-on-7, 3 Wednesdays. Get those kids to coach them, and they're going to get points for being a coach. Whoever has the most juice coaching, you're going to give them bonus points. This whole OVR thing is going to be not whose team wins, but who looks the most disciplined and who's working the hardest on the sidelines. I think all that stuff is really going to help. We got to start working towards the end of this. Middle school coaches. Now, those are parents as well. Here's what I would do with middle school coaches. Again, they're part of the staff. I would ask them if they want to come to the games. Do you want to be in the press box? Ask them how involved they want to be. Give them a playbook. Okay, guys, here's a playbook. Here's what I'd like for you to run on offense. Here's our 3 formations. Here's our 4 plays. Here's our defense. And here's what I always did for middle school coaches. Special teams, you can do whatever you want. Not that special teams are important, but it gives them something. So I would give them a playbook. Run these. You can have 1 trick play a game. I would love for you to run 1 trick play a game. It would make my heart happy. I would have my high school players go to the games and stand on the sidelines, let them wear a jersey, high five kids. Not all, I just ask them. Again, they're getting OVR points. We used to take kids to middle school games, and I'd tell them, man, high five every kid you can. I think that'll help. The coaches will feel more important, but I would start with that playbook. Do you want to come on Friday night? Do you want to be a part of this? Eric, what do you think? How would you help get middle school guys going?
So whatever coaching shirt that I have, they also have. I invite them to come up to help film. I invite them to come up to help keep stats. I invite them to come up in the booth. But they can only communicate if they use our language and our verbiage. They cannot communicate if they're not going to call it something other than what we're going to call it. That's my only rule, that we all got to speak Buccaneese. It can't be inside zone and inside zone. It's got to be inside zone here. That way, coach, if they're going to be part of it, we all got to look the same. That's more buy-in. Everybody out there, hey, coach, how do I get a polo like that? You only get it if you come help me. I am also pushing my high school kids to go to the middle school games because I want them to be my eyes and ears and say, hey, you went to the middle school game. How did it go? It went great. Man, are they running our stuff? Coach, they're not running our stuff at all. And I said, hey, I want you to go down there. I want you to coach those kids on the sideline. Make sure that they're doing our same step, J step. But those kids are going, all the kids know is what we taught them. Those kids are hearing what the middle school coaches are telling them, but they're also hearing the correct way from our kids as well. So we're kind of getting the best of both. I'm not stepping on any toes. We're having a clinic, a middle school clinic, the 4th of June. And my offense is going to get up from both schools. Both schools are doing this. We're fast and wide. Both schools are fast and wide. We're going to clinic middle school. If you're not a middle school coach, middle school coaches are free. Youth coaches are free. Anybody outside of there, we're charging you $20. Everybody gets to come in. We also do moms one-on-one, where we're teaching moms all our plays. We do dads and decals. So dads come up and we talk football, then we let them put their decals on their sons' helmets. More community buy-in. The mentor program is huge because they get to get up and they see the highlight of those kids playing. I ask them all to speak to their kids. They get to adopt the kid and text the kid because you can say something 10 times. That mentor can say it one time and they'll go do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, coach, hey, I got a guy, man, that is not getting his grades in class. Message him for me. You go, coach, what if I take him out to eat? Even better. So there's things that you can do within community members to buy in. There's things you can do with the middle school coaches to increase that buy-in. I have a coaches deal in the summer where we go bowl and we do fantasy football. I invite
That's a
the
good
wives,
idea, Coach.
coach, and
Yes.
I invite the wives to this while we're bowling. The wives are bowling, but I tell the wives right then and there, I say, hey, look, we practice Monday and Tuesday. Wednesdays is shorter date night.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take your wives out to eat on Wednesdays. And wives, if they're not doing it, let me know. But I want the wives to know that, yeah, we're going to practice, we're going to work hard, but here's one night where your husband gets to come home. If he ain't coming home, it ain't my fault. There's something else happening. But we do all these things to have buy-in because the wives will hear more in the stands than the husbands ever will. And they're going to come home and they're going to say, you know, man, you got a middle school coach's wife saying that Coach Case doesn't value him. The wives would know it before, because the husband will go home and tell them. And wives, they're going to talk. So you need to include everybody, coach. Your middle school guys got to feel important. Your middle school principal also gets a polo from me. So we're all doing fishing shirts. So when you look over there, you're not going to be able to tell middle school guys from high school guys. Admin are very important to me. So because they get to help me as well with my kids. My kids are getting in trouble. They need to feel like they can call me. I'm going to help them out. And it's vice versa.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that we do to get middle school buy-in.
Anything, I love those. It's really good stuff, man. Anything you can do, Coach, get in those little league guys and your middle school guys, your youth league guys, man, and try to include them. Again, I would rather cook hot dogs and invite all those coaches than hamburgers and then only invite middle school or something. I would just get them all there, put your arm around them, and ask their opinion. Hey, what do you think about this kid? Here's what I could see me doing this summer is, who do you think our captain, I don't know how you'll do captains, but let's pretend we're going to vote on captains after fall camp. Who do you think it'll be? And those kind of questions will make them feel valued. Okay. So last thing is you're going to install fast and wide, going to play really fast. You already said they're fired up about that basketball on grass. You're going to play the greatest defense there is, three safeties. It's going to be fast. You're going to blitz out of that and do all that stuff. So I think that's a great thing to get them inspired and motivated. I love all that. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Eric and I?
Like you said, my plate
Okay.
is full. I got all these documents I'm
Yeah.
working on, trying to get my program manual put together, trying to get my player manual put together, and then start coming up with my install for offense.
Yeah.
Defensively, I'm set, but offensively,
Fast and wide, you will take care of all that. Here's what I would say, and Eric, I want to know your opinion. It's May the 20th. Here's where I would spend my priority. It wouldn't be on any manuals. It'd be, okay, when am I starting home visits? Reach out to all those 22 coaches. Does anybody want to go on home visits with me? Did you coach this kid in youth? I would love for you to go with me. But right now, we got to rally the people. You can take my little PowerPoint and tweak it, but spend your time right now on how are we going to get in their home? When are we doing home visits? How many can we do a night? We're going to stay 15 minutes. We're going to give them something, some type of handout that you're working on, and start figuring out home visits. I think the biggest thing is Devil Camp, Green Devil Camp, and getting females and males there together, doing it at one time. Your first night, I'm so glad I remembered this. So the first night of Green Devil Camp, let's say it's July 6th. You got to get some parents helping you, of course. I'm having a DJ there. They're never going to forget the first night of Green Devil Camp. There's going to be a DJ. What else would you do the first night of Green Devil Camp, Eric?
I'm making sure that I got somebody videoing it and everybody's going to experience it after it's done. We're going to have highlights of it. It's going to be all over social media because every parent is going to watch that video to see if they see their kid in it.
Yep. Why is my kid? I got to get my kid there.
Yeah. because they want their kid part of that
But
video.
I don't know what a DJ costs, but we can't spend money on dumb things. The last day of Green Devil Camp, you got to have popsicles every week. Something. Cheap. Popsicles are cheap. We got to get the coaches' wives going. Cheerleaders need to be working out. Parents could have something on Tuesday night, snacks. Coaches' wives maybe one night, parents one night, cheerleaders one night. I hate to say cheerleaders because I want them part of this thing, but make it where it is the best thing going. And we're talking 12. And this year, I'd probably make it 12. And next year, it'd probably be 16. I'd probably go from there. Anything I'm not saying, Eric, I should be saying.
So we do gift cards. Coach, $100. I'm going to go get 10 gift cards, and I'm giving that out to 2 guys the first week. And everybody, coach, what you reward, you get more of. Next week will be more kids there.
So you're saying perfect attendance?
Yes. They'll get those 2 gift cards. So you can be a boy at perfect attendance and a girl to have perfect attendance. And they're going to get that gift card. I got like a Whataburger chain, coach. It had nothing to do with Buccaneer football. It was just a chain. They put it on, and they got a Whataburger gift card, and they were all fired up about that.
Well, coach, yeah. Get restaurants in town to sponsor your Thursday gift card and tell them that you will take a picture and you'll social media the heck out of it. That is really good idea. Anything, man, if there's a clothing store and I don't.
Coach, everybody loves T-shirts. When I first got here, we had a plethora of Raise the Flag shirts. It wasn't even my shirt that I had made, but I just wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So I gave them to the kids.
Perfect attendance.
So I just wanted to get rid of them.
There was a coach on here last week who said, I didn't want to interrupt everybody. And his idea was awesome. He said, last week's podcast, we were talking about perfect attendance for the summer. And he said he takes helmets that are too old, 11 years old, and he paints them. And he gives those to kids with perfect attendance in the summer. So he gives them a helmet that they can keep in their room that would normally be thrown away. And he gives that for perfect attendance, and they love it. Now, again, if we get boys and girls up there, it's a little different. But I think if you had a parent meeting, you taught there, so you have a few people that you know. It's May 20th. I'm figuring out home visits, and I'm figuring out Green Devil Camp. During those home visits, I'm asking parents, do you know anyone who will help sponsor Green Devil Camp? Because we want a DJ the first night. We want snacks after every workout. We want T-shirts. And you need sponsors.
What we did too, coach, is so we took one of those helmets and every kid signed it. And every kid want their name on it.
Yeah.
So at the end of summer camp, coach, we had our parent meeting. We meet the Bucks. And I'm thinking about Richard, man, when I say meet the Green Devils, I'm meeting Green Devils from 3rd grade all the way up.
Yes.
You buy a ticket for a chance to win a helmet autographed by the Green Devil high school players. But inside that helmet, every kid had to bring a $10 gift card. So not only did they win the helmet, but they won the gift card as well for coming up and meeting the Bucks. And so that's kind of how we do it here as well. An autographed helmet with gift cards in it from every player.
So, yeah, we've given you some, right? So maybe you can take some of this and find some of it you can use for you. And hopefully you guys listen. Everybody can take something. That's how this podcast is supposed to be, where you can take something tomorrow. But Richard, is there anything else, man, we didn't cover that you'd like us to go over?
It's great stuff. Taking notes of. You can't do everything, but there are
Right.
some things you can that I could envision working out.
Yeah, that's the whole beauty of it. I wanted to give you a bunch, and you can take some of it. But my biggest priority would be we got to have a bunch of kids there this summer. That's number one priority. I think people have no idea how hard it is to be a head coach. But for you to make that happen, you're going to have to go sit in some parents' living rooms in June and say, okay, we got to get this going. And, man, I used to do this in June. Have some lunches with kids. So if there's a CC's or something that is cheap, or maybe see if the restaurant would help you in exchange for social media. But I would have weekly lunches. I'd invite a coach to join us. Eric and I have done these before, but I'd have about 6 kids and we'd go eat lunch. And we would just talk about, tell us about you. What's something about you we don't know? And Eric and I would tell them about ourselves and learn a lot, but they love just being six or so. And so during these lunches, you could say, how do we get more people come in July? Tell me how. Let them be a part of it. But okay.
Other coaches are like, we always try to get this kid to come out for football, but now they're going to be coming out. So I'm excited about it. There's some positivity in the air. I want to capture that and make sure I do it right. So.
Dude, awesome, man. Thanks for letting us make this a podcast. Let me know how I can help you. I can't wait.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
Nice talking to you, Coach.
Okay, y'all. Thanks for coming into the coach's office in the arena, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See you, Coach. Thanks, Eric. Hey,
Yes, sir. I got you, Coach.